The Italian syndicate figured they had Joe Louis right where they wanted him. They believed they could ensnare the brown bomber using tricky clauses and hollow assurances. They imagined a basic agreement would turn the world champ into their asset. But they were dead wrong. For when Bumpy Johnson stepped into that room on August 14, 1940, he wasn't bringing any legal document. He had his razor tucked away. And the way he handled those three gangsters forced them to shred the agreement and vanish from Harlem for good. August 14, 1940, Harlem, New York. At 26, Joe Louis stood as America's most renowned black man, the heavyweight title holder, the Brown Bomber, the fighter who'd floored Max Schmeling before 70,000 spectators, showing the world that black achievement was unstoppable. Inside the boxing ring, Joe remained unbeatable. Beyond it, he became prey. Joe faced an issue common to many thriving black men back in 1940. He earned plenty, yet struggled to hold on to it. Fight earnings rolled in quickly, $100,000 for defending his belt, but vanished even quicker. Taxes, relatives, freeloaders. Poor guidance. Joe built wealth while slipping toward ruin simultaneously. Spotting the chance, the Italian mob pounced. That August day, Joe occupied a tiny office on 125th Street. No gym or workout spot, merely a dingy space with flaking walls and one lone table. Opposite him perched three guys in sharp attire. Vincent Gallo, around 50-something, with greased back hair and a grin that offered vows it had no plans to honor. Frank the Fixer Marino, bull-necked and silent, the enforcer posing as a deal-maker. And Anthony DiNapoli, more youthful, buzzing with unease, the guy managing the documents. These weren't fight organizers. They posed as financial experts. On the table lay a deal, 15 pages of tiny text, plus a pitch that caught Joe's attention. The Cotton Club venture. Quote, Gallo murmured, his tone silky like syrup, "By law, quote, that buck won." He pushed a shiny pamphlet over, filled with polished images of the Cotton Club, Harlem's iconic venue, upscale, lavish, money-making. We're growing, launching 3 new spots, Harlem, the Bronx, Brooklyn. Investors are key, savvy ones, folks with entertainment savvy and public pull. Frank shifted closer. Invest $50,000, Joe. In 2 years, we'll turn it into $150,000, no doubt. And you'll snag a slice of each club's earnings. 10% stake. Your name out front. Joe Louis's Cotton Club. Picture that? Joe pictured it vividly. He envisioned his title glowing in lights, saw himself entering his venue to applause, imagined stability for his mom, kin, and tomorrow. What Joe missed was the snare. The document appeared authentic, packed with formal terms, business setup, and profit forecasts, yet hidden in the small text, page 11, section 7, subsection C, lurked the truth. Joe's $50,000 would feed a fun run solely by Gallo and his crew. The promised gains hinged on targets impossible to achieve. The 10% share linked to a dummy firm with no real club ties. Pulling out early? He'd face $100,000 in fees. A textbook racket from the mob. They'd targeted fighters, performers, sports stars before, cash in, cash gone, debts mounting higher than before. Joe Louis, a ring wizard but naive elsewhere, overlooked it all. Quote, 4, Joe replied hesitantly. Quote, 5. Quote, tasks, DiNapoli jumped in. Quote, 7. Quote, 8, Gallo tacked on. Quote, 10%, pure fabrication, no rivals lined up. This setup targeted Joe Louis alone. Joe grabbed for the pen, Then the door swung wide. Bumpy Johnson entered without a rap or word, striding in as if it were his domain, which in all meaningful ways it was. 35 and Harlem's unchallenged ruler, 3 years post-prison, he'd seized the policy game, built his safeguard web, and warned every Italian thug in the city Harlem belonged to him. Dressed in a dark gray 3-button ensemble, crisp white shirt, ebony tie, with that signature straight-edge blade in his belt, etching his legend across the neighborhood. Bumpy's gaze shifted from Joe, pen poised, to the trio of Italians. His expression stayed steady. No need for more. "Joe," Bumpy stated evenly. "Drop the pen." Joe glanced up, puzzled. "Bumpy, this is a business talk." "I see exactly what it is. Drop the pen." Joe placed the pen down onto Bumpy, edged closer to the desk, forcing a grin. "Mr. Johnson, this here's a confidential business talk." "We're hashing out—" "I get exactly what you're hashing out," Bumpy cut in. "You're plotting to swipe $50,000 from Joe Louis, all while convincing him it's a solid investment." He strode over to the desk, snatched the agreement, and started leafing through it casually, skipping lines he didn't bother scanning closely. No point. He'd encountered this con before. Fresh faces, identical snare. He chucked the papers back onto the surface. The Cotton Club venture pitch. His gaze shifted to Gallo. Clever twist, I'll admit. Lure a guy into believing he's grabbing a slice of glamour, something that'll plaster his name in lights. He pivoted toward Joe. "Joe, mind if I pose a question? You ever set foot in the Cotton Club?" Joe gave a quick shake of his head. "Nah, they won't." He halted, catching himself mid-sentence. "They won't admit black folks," Bumpy wrapped it up. "Not as patrons, just as entertainers. And you're claiming these guys aim to loop you in as a co-owner at a spot that wouldn't even buzz you past the entrance?" Joe's expression shifted. The thrill faded fast. Gallo scrambled to salvage it. "That's the outdated version. The upcoming spots will welcome everyone." Bumpy's tone sliced sharp as his blade. "No such thing as growth, no fresh outposts. Just a phony scheme cooked up to fleece Joe Louis." He lifted the contract once more, turned to page 11, Section 7, subsection C, investment funds at partner's whim. In plain English, we grab your cash and spend it however we please. Returns tied to results. In plain English, you won't get a penny back. Penalty for pulling out early. In plain English, attempt to reclaim your funds, and you'll end up owing us twice as much. Bumpy eyed the trio. "This ain't an opportunity. It's a setup. And you clowns strolled into Harlem figuring Joe Louis was naive enough to bite." Frank Marino's jaw clenched. "Listen, Johnson, we're upright operators. We're extending a genuine chance." Bumpy drew his razor, not in a rush, not aggressive, just methodical and calm. He set it down on the desk, case intact, inches from the shiny Cotton Club flyer. Silence gripped the room, Bumpy murmured. He locked eyes with each one. "And you idiots barged in here assuming you could prey on him." DePoli opened his mouth. "We're merely proposing a deal. You're peddling robbery wrapped in legalese." Bumpy slid the razor free from its holder. The edge gleamed under the light. "Here's my response. Rip that agreement to shreds right here, right now. Then clear out of Harlem and steer clear of Joe Louis forever. No pitches, no prospects, not even a wave. Gallows cool, shattered. We can't simply... We got ties. We deal with folks. Doesn't matter who you're linked to. Up here in Harlem, I'm the link. And Joe Louis has my safeguard. He brandished the razor. Recognize what this does? It ain't for trimming documents. It's for slicing those who lose track of their surroundings, those who fancy strutting into my turf and fleecing my community. His whisper grew even softer. So, this is the play. Either shred that contract, or I'll etch thief across your brows with this. Then I'll spread the word to every mobster, every dealer, every player from here to Chicago that you targeted Joe Louis. He paused, letting it land. Your career's end. No one deals with you. And each mirror glance will flash the mark I etched, a permanent nod to the moment you crossed Harlem's pride. A wet patch bloomed on DePoli's trousers. Frank's grip trembled. Gallo blanched. "We'll destroy it," Gallo stuttered. "We'll do it immediately." "Wise move," Bumpy observed as Gallo seized the contract with unsteady fingers and tore it apart, sheet after sheet. 15 pages turned to scraps. Once finished, Bumpy faced Joe. "Joe, these fellas are on their way out. You're heading with me." On 125th Street outside, Joe Louis at last spoke up. "Bumpy, how'd you figure it out? How'd you even realize I was in there?" "News zips through Harlem," Bumpy replied. "Somebody spotted you entering that office with 3 suited Italians. That reached me in under 10 minutes. They strolled along the avenue, Bumpy's aura prompting nods of respect and folks parting ways. "I nearly inked it," Joe admitted softly. "Figured it was the real deal. Thought I was playing it sharp, building toward tomorrow." Bumpy halted. "Joe, you're the greatest in the ring, but the streets beyond it pack more peril than any bout you step into. Far more sharks circling with fine print than swinging fists." He rested a hand on Joe's shoulder. "Want to put money down?" "Okay, but hire your own counsel, not theirs. Someone on your payroll who pores over every clause. He shares wisdom straight up. Don't put your name on a document until you grasped every word, and if a deal seems way too perfect, it's likely a trap." Joe wrapped it up. "Spot on." Bumpy resumed his stroll. "And Joe, keep this in mind. You're more than just the fighter Joe Louis. You're a beacon for Joe Louis. Every young black child across the country sees you and imagines their own shot at greatness. That puts a duty on you to remain sharp, remain independent, remain in charge." Joe gave a nod. "What made you step in for me, Bumpy?" "You weren't obligated to." "Actually, I was. Because when you floored Schmeling, that victory hit home for me as well. When you're in that squared circle standing for all of us, you're standing for me too. And I guard my own." Bumpy offered a faint grin. "Plus, Joe, I'm in the life of crime. I defy the rules. I cause harm. I handle tasks that others shy away from. But here's the thing I avoid. I don't rob my community. I don't ensnare icons. I don't twist emblems into casualties." He fixed his gaze on Joe. "Those 3 Italians? They're more vicious than I could ever claim to be, since at least I own up to my nature. Vincent Gallo, Frank Marino, and Anthony DiNapoli departed Harlem that very afternoon and vanished for good." The news rippled across New York's criminal circles. Joe Louis was off limits. Bumpy Johnson had set a boundary. Joe Louis proceeded to retain his heavyweight crown 25 times during the following 10 years. He earned fortunes, and sure enough, financial woes caught up with him down the road. Poor choices and ventures, the tax man, the pitfalls that snag so many sports figures, but he never got duped by a con again, thanks to Bumpy Johnson showing him how to scrutinize the details. Decades on, in 1962, a journalist quizzed Joe. Data, quote, 19. Joe broke into a smile. "I had a buddy who had my back before I even realized I needed it." "Who was he?" "Folks from Harlem know exactly who." Outsiders, it won't change a thing. The key takeaway is he drilled into me that power inside the ropes falls short. You've got to be clever beyond them as well. In 1981, Joe Louis passed away. During his memorial, they discovered a note, penned long before, intended for Bumpy Johnson to read posthumously. You shielded me from swindlers in fancy attire. You made it clear that not all grins mean goodwill and not every chance is genuine. You revealed that toughness goes beyond throwing punches. It's about recognizing when to step back. I never gave you the thanks you deserved back then, so here it is. You weren't merely Harlem's ruler. You were my safeguard, and I was in your debt forever. Bumpy never laid eyes on that note. He left us in 1968. Yet those familiar with both understood the true essence of that August day in 1940. It went beyond a deal. It surpassed the $50,000. It embodied a core value. Harlem safeguards its people. Icons aren't plundered under our vigilance, and anyone bold enough to attempt it discovers the painful truth, slice by slice. If this tale of safeguarding, insight, and influence struck a chord with you, tap that subscribe icon and pound the like button. Pass it along to somebody who could use a reminder that the gravest dangers aren't from blows, they're from agreements and hollow vows. Leave a comment below. Ever nearly gotten hooked by an offer that felt unrealistically appealing? Let's preserve these hidden narratives. Bumpy Johnson shielded Harlem's icons, and their legacies merit being shared.